some things about the eyedropper and some basic things with color. So again, when you select an object, it automatically has a color fill and a stroke. Sometimes it doesn't have any color and stroke. So we can again double click here to give us our color picker. We can also click here on our color palette. Again, I'm going to open up the show options. And you can see here that it gives us the CMYK option. So if you actually wanted to dial in a particular color, you can do that depending on what you want to do. So you can see that that automatically changes the color, and you can kind of see what's happening there. If you don't like our CMYK, you could also do grayscale, RGB, or the hue, saturation, brightness. So it gives you a couple different ways of thinking and working with color depending on what you want to do. We can also just pick through the spectrum. So if you already know how to sample color there, those are some other options. You can also create your own options here in Adobe's color and import those, which is sometimes nice. So those are some of the main things that I use with color. Let's say you've designed kind of a palette and you like this color and you want to be able to kind of always go back to it without having to deal with typing in the exact number percentages for each RGB or hue, saturation, brightness, CMYK, whatever space that you're in. That's where the swatches come in handy. So you can see that if I click this, it already has this swatch made, and we can kind of create swatches here. So you'll know that you can create a new swatch just by doing this. So I can design that color through the color palette and then say, now let's make this a new swatch. And it'll pull this up so it's got the similar things happening. So and with this we can deal with process color or create a spot color, and that can also be important depending on what kind of output you're going to do. I would say most of the time you're going to be using process color for now. So you can see that you can define it by swatch name. So if you wanted to actually name it a particular name, you could do that as well. And once you hit OK, you'll notice that it's created in the swatches palette that color. So now I could just select an object and quickly go over here to my swatches and give that fill that color swatch. I could do the same thing if I wanted to give this a stroke. So I could select just the stroke color and go back to swatches and say, well, I want that stroke to be that blue. You can see when I zoom in that it's that blue. So that's another way you can use those swatches. So sometimes that's nice to create your own swatches for the color. Now you could also pull up custom swatches. So if you can see here, we have we can delete swatches, make another copy, you can group them. We can sort them by name or field, so if you actually name it a certain way, you can do that as well. But you'll notice here we've got swatch library, and they have some that are built in that are kind of based on certain, pop art might have a certain color palette or Renaissance, etc. But this one might be important for you as you're dealing with color books. Probably the most common would be the Pantone color system. So under the color, you can see that we've got Pantone plus the CMYK coded, solid, uncoded, or coded. So sometimes you might get a piece of art, somebody's logo, for example, might have a specific Pantone color that you need. So if I want to hit solid coded, you'll notice that then we get a custom palette here with that color book, which has all of these Pantone solid coded colors. So let's say I want to make this square a particular Pantone color. So you can see here that this is Pantone 7624 coded, so that means C. And so that's a very specific color, and that's going to give you some very precise color if somebody's style guide might need that color. So this is another way of getting some very precise color to transfer from your different devices as well as to the printing process. So that's how that works. Now these are spot color, so it's a very custom color. Sometimes you'll have to convert these to a CMYK conversion, for the printer, but I would talk to the printer about some of that. So, but sometimes this could be a great way of getting a very nice precise color. So, and you'll notice in the palette or the swatches here that we have a little white corner, and that specifies a spot color rather than CMYK. In some printing processes, you might actually have the different channels print the CMYK, and then you'll have an additional Pantone color or spot color print. So, but that helps you specify what in the document might be that color versus the CMYK.